3 things that I had to overcome in order to lose 180 pounds. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Carla and I make videos about how I show up for myself in hopes of inspiring you to do the same. By showing up for myself, I lost over 180 pounds. I transformed lifelong mental health issues and changed my career. In today's video, I'm going to be talking you through 3 things that I had to overcome in order to lose 180 pounds. This is not an exhaustive list of things that I had to overcome, but these are 3 very significant things. The first thing that I had to overcome in order to lose 180 pounds was the idea that I was going to do something that everybody had wanted me to do for a very long time. I had been overweight my whole life. I had always been trying to lose weight, but the people around me had always been encouraging or shaming me or bribing me into losing weight. I was brought to every nutritionist, every doctor, every Chinese health medicine. I had been on every diet, and the people around me, while it was 100% from a place of love, everybody wanted me to lose weight. And not only the people around me, but society wanted me to lose weight. It was definitely I grew up in the 2000s, was when I was a teenager. Grew up in the 90s, 37, early 38. In the era of heroin chic, I'm in the era of it being completely okay to do a ring of shame around a woman's cellulite on a magazine. With that, you are told, and this idea is infiltrated into every part of us, that the worth that you have is only based on your physical appearance, and that everybody around you and everybody you know and the world wants you to be skinny or thin or whatever word you want to use, smaller. And when I started to lose weight and I actually was genuinely losing weight, I found it very triggering to do the thing that everybody wanted me to do, that I had been pressured into doing, the thing that I had been told I had to do my whole life. It was an incredibly difficult period and it was unexpected. It was something that I did not expect to happen, to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't expect that that was going to be an issue. But losing weight is a journey of transformation, and through transformation we have to kind of kill parts of us. Sounds very dramatic. When you think of a butterfly, you know, they talk about how it goes into a chrysalis and emerges, or a caterpillar goes into a chrysalis and emerges as this beautiful butterfly. What actually happens to the caterpillar, like, don't quote me, I'm not like biologist. I'm not a scientist, obviously, or anything. But I do believe that the caterpillar is literally like squished into goo and emerges. And there are parts of us that we have to deal with that will come up when we're losing weight. We're on this journey, whether it's addiction journey, whether it is just personal development, whether it's life-living beliefs, which I'll get onto in a second. All of these things that we have to deal with will start to emerge, and we will have to process, and we can make a decision at that point of whether this is going to be the thing that is going to knock us off our path, or it's going to be the thing that we overcome to continue. I see weight loss as a journey along a path. I hate the term falling off the wagon that is to do with alcoholism. It's very black and white, and there is no black and white when it comes to food addiction, to binge eating disorder, or just being overweight, because we are surrounded by food. We have to eat to survive. And so what I see weight loss is as a journey along a path, and with any path, when we have that goal in mind, say it's climbing to the top of a hill, or I used to use the thought, like, you know, maybe somebody very gorgeous is at the end of that path waiting for you, like Idris Elba, perhaps, if that's your type of thing, or other people, whatever it is. Imagine that's that path, that's your goal, is at the very end. And as with any path that will come along, there will be turns, there will be peaks, there'll be troughs, there'll be potholes, and there will be obstacles that come into the way. There'll be huge boulders that will present themselves. And this is one of those boulders that came up for me was that idea that I'm going to do that thing that everybody has been wanting me to do, and I don't want to give them the satisfaction of doing it. And in order to overcome that obstacle, this is also a part of self-sabotage. I could have seen that now as I'm going to go back to my comfort. I'm going to go back to being comfortable with my discomfort and not give in to the world, but that's not going to serve me, because I knew that this journey was for me and that the thing that I wanted to do was to lose weight for me, because I deserved it, because I wanted to achieve that. And so I had to get through that. I had to push through that. And I did that by remembering and being very steadfast in the reason as to why I was doing this for me, and gave no credence or any weight, excuse the pun, to anybody else's opinion. And I think that that's what helps to carry us through weight loss, is being very sure and being very steadfast in our own resolve towards why we're doing this and not doing it for anybody else. The second thing that I had to overcome in order to lose weight were my, to quote Jared from Body Slims, were my shitty stories. And excuse my French to anybody who does not like swearing. These are the things that we tell ourselves that are the reasons that we cannot lose weight. So for me, I had so many of them, and I can do a separate video just all on things that if you want me to, let me know down in the comments down below. I had so many of these. So for me, it included my bulging discs, plantar fasciitis, so I couldn't walk. I was 23 stone. I was vegan, so that you can't lose weight as a vegan was one of them. I had tried every diet under the sun, so obviously that there was no possibility that this diet was going to work for me. That I was a binge eater, and well, I was a recovered binge eater and a food addict. And being a food addict meant that I had to eat food, and therefore I would not be able to ever lose weight, because the tiny consumption of food would lead to me consuming food consistently. I think there's a bit of confusion as well with some people about the difference between binge eating disorder and food addiction. And binge eating is more of like a short period of time where you consume an incredible amount of calories, whereas food addiction is somebody who is constantly seeking food 24/7, and that's what I was both. I had food addiction from a very young age, but I was a resolved binge eater. And while I wasn't binging in the technical term of binging, I was consistently consuming food. And as somebody who is a food addict, there is no way, there's no possibility that I could ever consistently not eat food. I had so many reasons that I was too old, that I wasn't going to be able to make the time, that I was too busy. And all of these SHITY, I don't know how you spell it. Is there a spelling really? All of these things that I was telling myself were actually excuses. They were excuses. They were get out of jail free cards. They were my sick note from life, my sick note from trying, my excuse to not have to do these things, not to lose weight. Because losing weight is scary and it's very uncomfortable, and it's perceived pain. It's perceived to be something that is going to cause us pain. And every one of these things that we, just like on that journey and not wanting to lose weight for those people, this was also an obstacle that I was going to have to overcome. The things that were physically challenging to me, like my back and my plantar fasciitis, these were going to be challenges that I was going to have to overcome. These were things that were put in my path. I used to think about this as literally, like on my walks, I used to think about, imagine just a boulder appeared in the middle of the path, like just in my regular estate in the middle of the path. How would I get around that? And I used to almost imagine me with like a rope ladder, like hitching it over the boulder, or like finding my way to get around it. And this is what we have to do in order to lose weight. And it can be incredibly difficult and can be very painful. It is never as bad. It is never as bad as we think it's going to be. But it's also the excuses give us that get out of jail free card for not wanting to try, for not even giving it a go because of the fear of failure, the fear of shame, because we have failed so many times before. And that's what I had done, is that I had failed so many times before. And when I realized and I turned those stories around and saw them as, instead of obstacles, as challenges, and actually started to dismantle them and work through them and think, okay, now what are these actually? And find ways to overcome them. Work with my therapist or with the Body Sims program, or seek guidance from other people who had done something similar to me. I remember looking at Jordan Shrinks thinking like, one of my stories that I told myself was that you cannot lose this amount of weight naturally, that you will have to have surgery. And I watched Jordan do it, and therefore I thought, okay, well, if Jordan can do it, I've seen that this is actually possible. So you're finding evidence to break down that story as opposed to reinforcing it. So that's how I overcame that second one. And then the third one is probably the most impactful, the thing that ruled everything for me, and it filters into the first two as well, and that is negative self-talk. This is the main thing that I had to overcome in order to lose weight. I had an omnipresent negative narrator ringing in my ear with a 24-hour diatribe about how awful a human being I was on a daily basis from a very young age. This narrator, this voice or voices inside my head were consistently telling me how worthless, disgusting, shameful, how stupid, ugly, fat, all this rhetoric of how terrible I was as a person, constantly, 24/7, anything I did. And then I would also personify that voice and assume that's what everybody else was thinking. So say I used to walk from my office in Temple Bar to the train station, and it was about a 15-minute walk, and it was a very difficult walk for me. With my plantar fasciitis, with my bulging discs, with being generally not able and not knowing how to walk, which is a different story, I wasn't able to just push. I found it very difficult to walk. And I was so filled with such shame in my body, in the way I was speaking to myself, that if somebody looked at me, I would then put those thoughts into their mouths, even though they might not say anything. Like, obviously they're not going to say anything to me, but I would imagine that's what everybody was thinking about me. I had a realization before my weight loss that was the catalyst. It was the kickstart to everything, where I went, oh my gosh, this voice isn't mine. This negative self-talk doesn't belong to me. I don't know who I am, but this voice is coming from cues that I've picked up as a child. It's been reinforced by society. It's been reinforced by the media. It's been reinforced by everything around me, telling me what an awful person I am. And not just because of my weight, but what would happen is that because I would reach for food as a food addict, I was trying to constantly change how I felt with food, alter my state, self-soothe, pacify the feelings and escape my body, because I didn't want to deal with what I was telling myself. And when I had that realization, it was so painful, but I had to start to examine the things that I tell myself, and those life-limiting beliefs and that negative self-talk, and listen to it and hear it, process it, and move on. And I did that with the help of therapy. And in therapy, we started to learn the source of those things that I was telling myself, but also how to deal with them. And literally sometimes it can be as much as just going, oh, I'm not listening to this right now. I'm not interested in this. Or I know that my friend Melanie Morris says when something comes up for her, she'll just go, well, that's not very useful now, is it? And she'll talk as if she's talking to a friend who said it. Like, that's not useful. What's the point in telling me that? I don't want to hear that. And it's literally confronting that as opposed to allowing it to become the narrative that we live by. And that's what I did, was I allowed that negative self-talk to be the narrative that I lived by. And by overcoming that, by pushing through that, by understanding the source of that voice, learning tools to deal with it, processing it and practicing that, I was able then to realize that maybe I'm not such a horrible person, and maybe I have a little bit of worth. And maybe that if I treat myself a little bit better, maybe the world will also treat me a bit better. And maybe that I have a responsibility to overcome this, to work through this, to deal with this pain and to move on with my life. And that's what I did. And that was the hardest one. And it's still the hardest, because I lived 32 years, or the majority of 32 years of my life, with that negative self-talk. And sometimes it will still rear its ugly head. You know, right now I'm injured. I have a bulging disc again, and I have torn my abdomen, and I cannot walk, I cannot dance, and I can feel myself just like a bit bloated and a bit feeling just a bit awful in myself, like physically in my body. But I have to be compassionate, and that's one of the biggest tools that I've brought on, was that sense of compassion, was learning how to be compassionate with myself. And that's what I can do now, as opposed to being like, ugh, here we go again, which is what I started to hear. Like, no, that's not what's happening here. What's happening in here is I'm injured. I'm injured, and I have to give my body time to rest. That it's okay to rest. That I have done enough for now. And to learn that and to be compassionate to myself helped me to overcome that negative self-talk. To hear it, to confront it, to process it, to swipe it away, and to change it, to turn it around, and to make it a compassionate voice. Guys, that is the end of this video. I have really, really enjoyed making this. I hope you've liked watching it. I didn't even do my hair or anything. I literally just was like, I really want to make this video right now. So I hope that you've enjoyed it. I hope that it has resonated somewhat with you guys. And I would love to know your thoughts down in the comments down below. Please make sure you're subscribed. Please leave me a couple of hearts of your choice down as some emojis if you got to the end of the video. And I would just love to have that conversation in the comments to see, you know, if this has resonated with you, and if this type of content resonates with you, and if there is something that you felt that you've had to overcome in order to lose weight as well, and to change your life. Because for me, weight loss was just this very nice result of changing my entire thought processes. So I will love you and leave you. Please make sure you're following on Instagram and on TikTok. Make sure that you are subscribed here, like this video, share it with somebody that you think might like it, and I'll talk to you very soon. And don't forget to show up for yourselves.